Hi everyone, and welcome to this edition of Comet Conversation. And today's program is focused on our Facility Advisory Committee. And at a recent Board of Education meeting, our Facility Advisory Committee recommended a long-term master facilities plan. And that master facility plan includes a new pre-K through 5 elementary school, turning Amherst Junior High into a 6 through 8 building, and renovating Steele High School. The committee also recommended that we maintain Nord Middle School, use that to house our board offices, also with a possibility of renting the building out to various community groups, and also providing extra classroom space so that we're able to accommodate future increases in enrollment. And we're fortunate to have with us on today's program Dave Janik. Dave is an Amherst Councilman and also a member of our Facility Advisory Committee. So first of all, Dave, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for inviting me, Steve.
We appreciate the time, and I know there were some key factors that went into the committee's recommendation, and I know after several meetings and looking at a lot of data and a lot of information, there were, like I say, some key factors, and one of those factors was the issue of declining enrollment and also the number of transitions that we currently have building to building, especially at the elementary level. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Basically, what we're seeing now is that some of the districts or some of the schools are using trailers as classrooms or modular units, and a lot of us on the committee felt like not that those are ineffective spaces, but for several citizens that have mentioned to me as a council member the amount that they pay in property taxes. Many of them want their child in a classroom building that they prefer because of property taxes and property values not to use those modular units. So Harris and some of the other buildings have those, and we felt like they were basically inefficient in terms of operating expenses as well. And currently Amherst Junior High operates well under capacity. So we wanted to see the opportunity to kind of arrange or make the arrangements so that we're filling that building, because it is the newest building and nicest building. So that's why we thought to add the 6th grade to that level as well.
Absolutely. And I just wondered if you could touch on something. As you're aware, currently our students at the elementary level change buildings every couple of years.
Yes.
Can you speak to the advantage of having students, from the committee's perspective, the advantage for students and their families to be in one building for those early years, specifically in this case K or pre-K through 5?
Sure. Well, as a parent of 4 children who have gone to the Amherst schools, I can tell you for transportation purposes, it'll be a nice flow to have one building to stop at instead of 3 separate buildings at 3 separate time frames. So I'm very happy to see the committee made that recommendation in that respect. But the teachers, for example, we know that effective teaching strategies, data has shown that effective teaching strategies involves collaborating with other teachers, especially at the 2nd and 3rd grade level. So we think it's going to be important for those teachers to have that relationship and their colleagues, not only at the 2nd and 3rd grade level, to be able to collaborate more easily and efficiently, but also at the 4th and 5th grade level. Because what we've been seeing is that the students finish Harris in 4th, then they go on to Nord at 5th, and that transition can be difficult.
Sure.
So emotionally and physically in terms of the buildings, and now it's going to be nice because those teachers can do more of a collaborative effort with each other to make sure that those specific children in that grade level make more of the transitions in between 4th and 5th grade.
Clearly some huge educational advantages.
Yes.
And kind of shifting gears, I know that one of the other key factors that the committee really looked at was the cost of operating and maintaining and repairing our older buildings in particular. And I know that whole efficiency issue was something that the committee really looked at. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that played into the decision?
Certainly. Right now, when we look at the buildings, if, certain expenses with HVAC, having to reconfigure or put any new systems in those older buildings would be very cost prohibitive. So I think it's going to be a good idea to not only look at this plan in terms of saving operational expense in that respect, but also looking at operational costs, potentially almost saving $800,000 because we would be able to, a larger building, of course, would meet the needs for us from the K through 5 level, but also being able to close those buildings down that have been inefficient for us in terms of operational expenses. So.
Well, and I know that's something that's of particular interest to, actually, many of our residents and community members do not have children in schools.
Right.
But clearly the idea of reducing our number of buildings from 5 to 3 and therefore saving operational costs long term is very attractive to all of our residents because that's that's a key factor. And clearly, operating and maintaining three buildings will be much less costly than operating and maintaining 5 buildings,
Exactly.
and actually 6 if you include Shupe, which is currently not being used by the schools, but
rented.
Yeah, rented. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess in closing, anything else that you would want to share or any key points that you would want our viewers to know about as far as the committee's work over these last 6 months?
Well, it was important when we were on the committee to understand that there is a formula that the state uses in terms of a bidding cycle, if you will. So right now, Amherst is in a key position to be considered for these changes in terms of receiving state dollars to create a new building. So what they used was what they call the 66% threshold. And that was interesting to learn more about that on the committee because right now they say any building that needs more than 66% of renovation is a very costly venture for school districts. And they're willing to put in or set aside monies or appropriate monies to school districts that are over that 66% threshold. And if we miss this cycle of those appropriated monies, who knows when we could get into the kind of ring again, if you will, to receive those monies again. So just to give you an idea, with what we learned, Powers is at the 75% threshold of needing renovations to bring it up. And I'll tell you, Steve, as I took the tour of that building, and noticed how poor the air quality is in that building, I really became concerned at the health risks that are involved in terms of students that are in those smaller confined spaces that were designed years ago, which don't have the proper ventilation, especially if 1, 2, or more students get ill or sick. There's no filtration systems air-wise in those rooms to help those students kind of get through that flu season. So I was very shocked to learn that we really have an air quality issue that we need to address there as well. Harris is at 72% and Shupe is at 73%. Right. So they're all over the 66% threshold level, which I think is important to understand. So
yeah, that's a great point. And clearly, through the state's eyes, they would recommend building new at the elementary level versus renovating, as you mentioned, due to the cost effectiveness factor. And I guess in closing, I just want to thank you as well as the entire committee for your work. I know you poured over a lot of data. There was a big 3-ring binder, I know, with enrollment information and assessment information and just a lot of information. I wanted to thank you for your efforts, and we certainly look forward to the rest of the process. And again, thank you on behalf of our school district and community. And,
sure, it was a pleasure to serve.
Thank you. And in closing, I would like our viewing audience to know that our Board of Education is taking the recommendation under advisement, and our Board of Education is also authorizing a community survey that will test the feasibility of this master plan that's been recommended. And the Board of Education ultimately will take into account the results of this survey, review all of the data that the committee provided, as well as consider a number of other factors before making a final decision. And certainly want to mention that if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to give me a call at the board office or send me an email, and I will be happy to respond as soon as possible. As always, thank you for your support of the Amherst schools, and go Comets.